Hi everybody. This is the first class that we're going to be doing through your theory portion online. This is my actual face without a mask on it. Anyways, so we're going to get started with chapters 1 and chapter 2, so you can follow along in your textbook if you wish. A lot of the stuff that's in here that's either highlighted red or in bold is things you might want to highlight. Those are parts of your homework and parts of your test upcoming. Anyway, so we'll get started with the history of hair. So our lesson objectives today are to describe appearance and enhancement and how it relates to cosmetology, recognize how trends are influenced by the history of cosmetology, and list several career opportunities that are available to a licensed hairstylist. I know maybe not all of you know who this is, but this was a huge quote in like the 70s and 80s when I was sort of in the early teenage years, figuring out that what I wanted to do was hair. And this quote was really popular. If you don't look good, we don't look good. Does anybody have any idea who that might be? It was Vidal Sassoon. So his legacy began in the 60s in the UK. He was known for his very revolutionary geometric haircuts. He styled a lot of the most famous people. The salon, the Sassoon Academy is still to this day a very sought after education. They do online now. My uncle was trained at the Sassoon Academy in Toronto. It's a wonderful educational experience. But watching him in the 80s and seeing his commercials and everything like that made me cement the fact that I wanted to be a stylist. So in the history of hair, cosmetology is also described as appearance enhancement. It encompasses a broad range of specialty areas. Thinking about the hairstyling trade nowadays, it branches off into so many different things. They include hairstyling, nail tech, aesthetics. It's basically the art and science of bringing beauty to people. The term cosmetology comes from the Greek word, which is cosmetikos, meaning the skilled use of cosmetics. It's also recognized as one of the oldest professions in the world. We won't discuss what the other one is, but I think you might have an idea. Why do you think it's important that we study hair and career opportunities? So very many reasons, but many of the old methods have evolved into techniques that we still use today. Thinking things like finger waves, pin curls, the way we perm hair, everything has sort of changed and evolved, and a lot of it actually comes back around. If you think about it, finger waves, pin curls, all of that has now come back into style, and even young men now are getting perms again, which perms have been sort of obsolete for the last, I want to say maybe 5-10 years. People thought, oh, perms are never going to come back. Well, surprise, surprise, here they come. Knowing the history of the profession can help you predict and understand any upcoming trends, and understand the importance of education will give you clear direction to a successful career. Learning about many possible career paths. So things that you may have never thought of when you get into the career of hairstyling, that you may actually want to branch off to, later on once you've kind of built your craft. Understanding the history of cosmetology. So we have a lot of influences from different places within the world. Starting with the Africans, they used hairstyles as a symbol of their tribal traditions. It conveyed a message of either age, marital status, power, rank within the tribe. They wore very elaborate hairstyles, and it was and hair dressings, and it was basically a symbol of their stature. The Egyptians, the first that we know of that ever used cosmetics for beautification. Religious ceremonies, preparation for the deceased, the burial of a deceased. Henna was used to color or stain, which what henna does, their hair and nails a warm red. And they also used infused essential oils for perfumes. The ancient Egyptians are also credited with creating kohl makeup, where kohl makeup is like the black makeup that you basically look at as an eyeliner. They used to ground a black mineral, sulfur, and animal fat to heavily line the eyes and alleviate eye inflammation and protect your eyes from the glare of the sun. So if you think of like football players or that now that put that black underneath their eyes, that all came from the Egyptians. The Chinese in the Shang dynasty in the 1600 BC, Chinese aristocrats rubbed tinted mixture of gum arabic, gelatin, beeswax, and egg whites into their nails to turn them a crimson or an ebony. In the Zhou dynasty, 1100 BC, gold and silver were only reserved for the royal families. During this early period, nail tinting was closely tied to social status, and commoners who were caught wearing a nail color that was for royalty faced the penalty of death. With the Greeks, the age of Greece in 500 BC, hairstyling became a highly developed art. The Greeks used perfumes, cosmetics in religious rites, grooming for medicinal purposes. They built elaborate baths, developed excellent methods of dressing hair and caring for skin and nails. Women wore white lead on their faces. Think about that, white lead. No wonder they didn't live to be very old people. Now, because anything with lead in it regarding paint or anything, they don't make it anymore because they realize it's literally poisonous to people. Vermilion on their cheeks and lips, and a red pigment that was made by grinding cinnabar, a mineral that is the chief source of mercury. Again, mercury. Mixed with an ointment or dusted on the skin the same way as modern cosmetics. So they were literally using poisonous metals and minerals on their skin, which was literally seeping into their skin and poisoning them slowly. The Romans lavishly used fragrances, cosmetics, facials made of milk and bread, made of corn, flour, milk, fresh butter. A mixture of chalk and white lead was used as a facial cosmetic. Hair color indicated a class in society. Noble women wore their hair red. Middle class colored their hair blonde, and poor women dyed their hair black. In the Middle Ages, tapestries, sculptures, artifacts show towering hairdresses, intricate hairstyles, and the women's cosmetics on their skin and hair. They wore color on their cheeks and refined the process of steam distillation. Steam distillation is a way of purifying water. We'll get into that a little bit more later. In the Renaissance, the period when Western civilization made the transition from medieval to modern, one of the most unusual practices was the shaving of their eyebrows. Don't get it, but okay. And their hairline to show a greater expanse of their forehead. So basically they would shave off their eyebrows and they would take their hairline back so that their forehead was to seem quite large. And that was supposed to make people think that they were more intelligent where they were because they had a bigger forehead. They wore very elaborate clothing, very elaborate hairstyles, but the shaving of the eyebrows and in the Victorian age, the reign of Queen Victoria between 1837 and 1901 was known as the Victorian Age. To preserve health and beauty of the skin, women used beauty masks and packs made of honey, eggs, milk, oatmeal, fruits, and vegetables, which, basically has come back around now, where most of the products people use on their face or are looking to use on their face are coming from a more natural place. They used to pinch their cheeks and their lips, bite their lips to induce natural color rather than use cosmetics. In the 20th century, the invention of motion pictures coincided with the abrupt shift in American attitudes as viewers saw pictures of these flawless celebrities, beautiful hair, beautiful nails, beautiful skin, an era that signaled the spread of industrialization, which brought new prosperity to the US of A, and beauty began to follow trends set by celebrities and social figures. So think of it as the early version of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So with the trends, 1901 to 1910, Charles Nessler invented a heavily wired heated perm machine terrifying as you think of liquid with electricity. Max Factor, who was a huge name in cosmetics and stuff during the 70s, 80s, and 90s for sure. Um, he used to manufacture the makeup for the movie stars, and Madam C.J. Walker opened her school for hairstyling in Indianapolis in 1917. In the 20s, Marcel Gratteau created the electric version of the curling iron, as in Marcel handle. So if you think of the professional um, curling irons that we use that have a Marcel handle, which is not the spring-loaded, was named after him. Cosmetic advertising grew from 3,900 to 3.2 million in 3 years from 1927 to 1930. Think about that number, $3.2 million in 1930. That's an incredible number for that time, where money was just, that was so much. But then you think about what people pay for a spot during the Super Bowl, right? They're $1 million for a 30-minute spot. So I guess everything sort of works its way out. 30s and 31 was the first perm that was heated for chemical reaction. So instead of using the perm machine with all the wires and everything to heat it, it actually was a chemical reaction that heated the perm. First permanent hair color was created in 1932. In the 40s and 41, the cold wave perm was introduced. So basically taking heat out of it totally and just doing a cold wave. 1951 to 2000s. In the 50s, tube mascara was introduced. The 70s, French hairstylists introduced foil highlighting. So think about that in the 70s. In 1985, Farouk Shami invented the world's first ammonia-free hair color. So Farouk is basically like the hair care line that involves Chi. Chi hair color is ammonia-free. In the 90s, hair color became more gentle, obviously, on the hair. And today, gentle, no fade hair color is used a lot. The industry is at an age of specialization, and day spas and men only spa salons are on the rise. There's a lot of barbershops and stuff that are, for men only and cater to, both hair and spa services for men. Career paths of cosmetologists. So once you've completed your schooling and are licensed, you will be amazed at how your career opportunities will open up. The possibilities are endless for hardworking professionals. Some of the career paths that you can go down once you've actually completed your licensing process. You can be a color specialist, a texture specialist. Texture specialist meaning dealing with, perming, straightening, things like that. You can be a specialist in haircut. You can be a trainer for the salon, which means you could work for like one of the hair care companies and you actually do in-salon training. Distributor sales, manufacturer educators. So you would work for someone like, say, Matrix and be an educator for just Matrix. You can be an artistic director, education director, cosmetology instructor, film, theatrical, or educational stylist, or creative director. There's so many different ways that you can take this career now, depending on which way it is that you want to go and how you feel once you finished your licensing. You basically, have a world in front of you now of opportunities that just were not there before, but has really increased in the last few years. So the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. So that being said, moving forward with your learning in hairstyling, I think, being capable to learn what we're here to teach you is a gift. The ability to learn it is a skill, but the willingness to want to learn what we have is a choice. I think that this is really an interesting quote, that it makes people think twice about how it is that they want to take their career. If this is really what you want to do, then the willingness to learn what we have to teach, that's your choice. So I think that's pretty awesome. Moving on now to chapter 2, which is life skills. Lots of things that kind of go on with the life skills. A lot of it will be, you'll find it kind of a little bit redundant. A lot of it you'll probably find, you already know this kind of stuff, but sometimes it's nice just to sort of have a little bit of a refresher. So our lesson objectives are you'll be able to list the principles that contribute to personal and professional success. You'll be able to create a mission statement, explain long-term and short-term goals, discuss the most effective way to manage your time, demonstrate good study habits, define ethics, and list the characteristics of a healthy and positive attitude. So why do you think it's important that we study life skills? So practicing good life skills will lead to a productive beauty career. We work with so many different type of people, clients. So having good life skills that we use for the interactions with the people that we see every day is really important. We also deal with a lot of difficult circumstances, and we have the ability to deal with them because we have the opportunity of building on our life skills. And having good life skills builds good self-esteem and can help you achieve your goals. So I'd like for you to write down what your definition of success is. And we'll kind of go over this in class because I find it really interesting to see what different things people think of when they think of success. Because I think it means a different thing to different people. And I find it really interesting to hear the different ways and things that people see when they think of success. Mine is your positive action combined with positive thinking results in success. So my mindset has always been, to be positive, have a positive outlook, see the positive side, and that in turn turns you into a positive person and brings success almost to you naturally. I find a negative attitude or a negative outlook towards anything, whether it be school or life, doesn't matter, kind of puts you in this sort of negative state, and that sort of spirals down and sort of almost takes success away from you in a sense because you're not inviting in positivity. So the introduction. So technical skills are obviously very important, but life skills are just as important. I don't care how good of a person you are at cutting hair or coloring hair. If you don't have the life skills to be able to deal with the public on a day-to-day basis, you're just not going to end up being successful. The salon is a very creative workplace, and we're expected to kind of exercise our artistic talent. In addition, the atmosphere is highly social. You don't go into a hair salon and expect it to be silent and nobody talking. And, you expect when you go into a salon, there's lots of talking, in between customers and their stylists and, other stylists and their assistants. Like there's just communication all the time. So you have to have really good communication skills. You have to have good decision making, customer service, and time management. I cannot stress time management enough in this kind of a business. You have to be able to manage your time, both at work and at home, because this is not a 9-to-5 job, as we've all seen. Things don't always go the way we want, so we don't, always just get to clock out at 5 p.m. So life skills are a foundation of success for both students and professionals. Some examples of important life skills. Again, I'd like you guys to write down what you think are some important examples of life skills, what those mean to you. Some of the things that are part of important life skills are being helpful and caring, making good friends, feeling good about yourself, having a sense of humor, a cooperative attitude, approach work with a sense of responsibility, being consistent, very important, adapting successfully to different situations. Again, dealing with different people every day, you're going to have to be able to change how you deal with situations on the fly a lot of the time, because you don't know what's going to be from one client to the next. You have no idea. So the whole part of being able to um, work with different situations and build success from that is really important. Mastering techniques to become more organized and developing good decision-making skills. The process of self-actualization, notice it's in red, that will be, that's a hint that will be on the test, is fulfilling one's full potential requiring lifelong commitment. So you can't think of, okay, so I'm going to get my license and I'm going to become a hairdresser, hairstylist, and that's it for me. Um, that's just not how it works in this business or in life itself. You always have to be evolving. You always have to be learning. Just everyday life, you're always learning. So some of the action steps for success, um, give that a thought. So what are some of the bad habits that keep you from being successful? Because we all have them. Um, some more than others in different respects, some a little stronger in some in others, but they are procrastination, which is putting off until tomorrow what you can do today. I have a bad habit of that myself. Perfectionism is the unhealthy compulsion to do things perfectly. We all know that things never go perfectly, especially in hair. So always striving for the perfectionism actually causes you a little bit more grief than not. And lacking a game plan. You have to be very conscious of how you kind of want to set out your life from start to finish. So, you're all kind of in the starting spot right now with this career. And, from here, you're going to build a life plan moving forward as to where you want to go. Where do you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that kind of thing. So, motivate and self management. These skills will help you definitely move on to the next level of your career. If you're not motivated, um, then you're just going to kind of get stuck in a rut and you're never really going to evolve as a stylist, because this business is always changing and that's never going to change. We grow, we learn, monthly, yearly. Things change so quickly. Your creative capability. Creativity means you have a talent, and it's an unlimited inner resource and ideas for solutions. So staying positive, look for creative inspiration, and improve your vocabulary when it comes to things that are important to you, within your, not just in styling, but in your life. Designing a mission statement. So a mission statement establishes the purpose and values for which an individual lives and works by. So I think it's important for you to sort of design your own mission statement as to, the things that are important to you, your values, your purposes, everything, moving forward in your life. Setting goals. Um, you want to set long-term and short-term goals, because it sort of changes the way that you act towards your education and your life moving forward. And demonstrating time management. So you have to learn how to prioritize, and organizing your task lists from most important to least important. So if you think of, say, on a daily basis, everything you do in a day, and you make that list. So looking at that list, there's things like, you know, brush your teeth, and there's things like do your homework. So there's things like have coffee. So you kind of need to take that list and prioritize where everything sort of falls from most important to least important. So if you make your way from the top down, if you don't get all the way through the list and the things at the bottom that aren't the most important, if they don't get done, well, no big deal. You can kind of move them on to the next day, but making sure the most important things get done first. Employ successful learning tools. So learning how to study, just learning how to take in information and use it, for yourself moving forward, it's always really important. So what is ethics? It's kind of that word that gets thrown around a lot, but what actually is ethics? It's the moral principles by which we live and work. In a salon setting, ethical standards should guide your conduct with clients and fellow employees. Um, 5 professional actions are provide skill and competent services, be honest, courteous, and sincere. Avoid sharing client private matters. Obviously, we don't, quote unquote, gossip. Participate in continuing education. Give clients accurate information about treatments and products. Um, kind of elaborating on that a little bit. You want to be honest with your clients about, first of all, your capabilities. You don't want to make promises that you can't keep, and you don't want to sell them things that they don't need or whatever just to sort of make extra money, because things like that will come back to bite you. Building a relationship with your client, you want to do it in the most ethical way, and doing it in an honest um, and caring manner. People pick up on that, and they learn very quickly the type of person that you are. If you really care about them, or if you just mostly care about, making money, it becomes quite obvious pretty quickly. Developing a positive personality. I truly believe that a positive attitude leads to so many great successes. We see so many different people from every kind of walk of life every single day in the salon. So things that are really important, you have to have diplomacy, which means tactful with straightforward and not critical, which means being honest with people but not being rude about it. Pleasing tone of voice. You don't want to talk like, have an angry or kind of put off tone of voice when you're speaking to people. You want to talk very pleasantly. You want to have emotional stability. So you want to remain in control. That being said, we're always going to have those clients that sort of get under your skin, say things that maybe hurt your feelings or things like that. So it's really important to kind of keep your emotions on an even keel, so that you don't fly off the handle in anger, and you don't, break down and cry every time someone has something in a negative way. Sensitivity. So it's a combination of understanding, empathy, acceptance, and compassion. And we have to have this when we work with the public, especially on a personal level. Um, you know, again, we see so many different people from so many different walks of life. There are so many things going on with a lot of these people that we have no idea. So it's incredibly important to have sensitivity, um, empathy, compassion, and acceptance. Values and goals. They basically guide our behavior and give us a direction. Like, what are the things that you value? And what are your goals in life? Those are the things that sort of create your path. Receptivity. Being interested and responsive to the opinions, feelings, and ideas of others. Again, that being said, um, not shooting down people's ideas, being in a very collaborative environment. I find the hair salon is a very collaborative environment where people sort of bounce ideas off of each other when it comes to anything from trying a new technique to a different type of color, all kinds of things. So it's sort of like a communal education, which I actually find is really awesome. I learned a lot of things just working with my peers. And effective communication skills. You have to develop an ease in talking about yourself and listening to others. So in this business, if you can't have a good communication with the person sitting in front of you or the people that you work with, you're going to have a really big struggle, because the most important thing is being able to understand how to get your ideas across and understand the ideas that come back to you. No matter how educated, talented, hip, and cool you believe you are, how you treat your clients and fellow stylists will ultimately determine how successful you become. Very true. If you are not a team player, you don't work well with others, you don't get along with other staff, have issues with clients or management, you're not going to be very successful in this business, unfortunately, unless you plan to work alone. Um, people get a vibe, or a gut feeling, I call it, and people know if you're being genuine. People know if they're being lied to on some type of level. So it's really important to make sure that um, you are who you are, and be true to yourself, but also understand that you have to be kind and empathetic and understanding of other people as well. So for your homework for this week, again, once you guys go through this, if you have any questions or anything like that, you can either email me or we'll kind of talk about it in the beginning of next class. Kind of bring up stuff. We're going to go over the homework in the next class anyways, so we can kind of go over anything that you have questions about. So in your theory workbook, in chapter 1, questions 1 to 59, do not complete the activities. I believe question 60 is an activity. We don't do the activities, we only do the workbook questions. And then in chapter 2, do questions 1 to 52. Again, do not do the activities. And then we will take it all up at the beginning of next class. During that time, your test will become available on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. So you have from Sunday to Wednesday at 2 to complete that test. Once you complete once you begin the test, a timer starts. You'll have 60 minutes to complete it. Complete the test. Your marks will automatically fill in your Blackboard, so your marks will be available pretty much almost immediately from the time you finish the test. Again, if you have any questions, send me an email. We'll talk to me in class, whatever, but hopefully we, as our first go around of doing theory online, hopefully everything works out well. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.